will always be in Texas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love Texas.
yeah.
So you own a company called Warriors Way, and that is a martial arts academy.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Well, I kind of, it was all by chance. When I was 20 years old, I was going to school to be a paramedic, and then I was bartending at night to pay for all that. And I met a guy named Harley Elmore at we both worked at Graham Central Station. Remember that big nightclub thing that was here? So he was the head of security, and I was a bartender there. And we went in November of 98, and we started dating in February of 99. And his sister, who was 10 years old, passed away in July of 99. She had cystic fibrosis. We went back to Arkansas for the funeral. And I think it was like this moment for him to kind of like wake up and realize, is he doing what he's supposed to do? Is he reaching his full potential? And he later he told me all this, like he was thinking to himself, if she had been given the 20 years that he had, what would she do with it? And was he using his time?
So it's sobering.
Yeah. So we're somewhere in the middle of Oklahoma, driving back from Arkansas from the funeral, and I'm driving the car, and he looks over at me and says, hey, you want to start a martial arts school? And I just looked at him. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah. So we started talking about it. And we went to my dad and borrowed $1,000 from my dad, and we started everything on that $1,000 because we didn't have any money. I was a college kid. Yeah, you know, I wasn't even. I think I had just turned 21 I was about to turn 22, so I was 21 years old. Yeah, I had nothing, and we rented a spot in the Finishing Touch Plaza. We had enough to pay the first month's rent, and we bought like a couple of focus mitts, so we'd have some focus mitts. We went to Hobby Lobby and bought some poster board and like made decorations for the wall. And so that we
you really had to hustle at the first.
We had nothing. We had a hammer.
That's awesome.
And like a multi-purpose tool. A friend of ours knew someone who owned a carpet store in Graham. So we drove to Graham and we got like 5 layers of carpet padding and like old carpet they'd ripped out of a house, laid that down in the back for a mat. Wow. So people wouldn't get hurt.
I love that.
But I mean, everybody like would wrestle and you'd get up and be covered in carpet fuzz. It was hilarious. And we were only going to teach adults. And when we opened the school, he decided that he needed to quit because it was kind of a conflict of interest, you know, that, a martial artist would like maybe try to beat people up or we just wanted to avoid all that. But I kept working, and he only wanted to teach adults. But in the first month we were open, I had in one day, I had enough phone calls of people wanting us to teach kids that would pay rent for a month. Yeah. And I was like, hey, listen,
we got to do this.
We need to teach kids. So when you have a martial arts school, there's a certain amount that you have to water it down, I guess, kind of, or not water it down, but make it so that the masses can come and do it so that you get enough people in the door
so
to
basically you're starting out with just basic principles, like a basic principles class.
Yeah. And you have to manage like how many people you can get in the door and what you're going to teach. And so I told him, I said, if you'll teach kids, you can do whatever you want with your adult class. You can make it as hardcore as you want. So we did that, and we started teaching kids, and he got to make the adult program. He wanted that, he didn't have to worry about catering to the masses for that. And so that really fulfilled him in that way.
So you had a business strategy, which sounds very efficient, very intelligent for long term, because you have this idea of getting people into it. And then you could also cater and make it more finely focused
for him. Yeah. And
because you have to be independently challenging to yourself.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Yeah. So he really liked the idea of that. And it has worked very well. And he has a great core group of guys that some have been with us for over 20 years.
Wow. And how long has it been? So you opened that up
November of 99.
Wow.
So this year will be 22 years in November.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's grown.
It has, and we just kept working hard. We saved up the $1,000 we borrowed from my dad and paid him back and borrowed it again. Yeah. And then we did that several times, and within about 4 months, we outgrew the space we had gotten, and we asked to move to a bigger space in the Finishing Touch Plaza. And so we moved over, I think it was about 3,000 square feet then. And it was just a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can say this, but we actually lived in our school for 2 years. Sure. We didn't have enough money to pay
both rent
us and take care of our business. And we kind of just kept putting every single thing we had back into it. And I had no business experience, like none. Like I was a kid, I was 21 years old. I knew nothing. And he is a expert martial artist, but not necessarily a business runner. You know, like
yeah,
he'd never-
we've talked about that on other podcasts, and I've shared this in tutorials and things like that, where just because you are good at something doesn't mean you're also good at business,
Right.
And that doesn't always translate,
right. Yeah, and I think that's really been a huge part of our success is that he was able to focus on being the best martial artist he could be, and I focused on learning how to run a business,
being the best business.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so we really divided and conquered there, and that worked well for us, and it still does. It works very well.
And does he still teach?
Oh yeah, he does, but he